Hello everyone, welcome to the Citrix Ready Top 10 Clients Program webinar. My name is Rubal. I'll be a host for the webinar today. I'm also joined by my colleague Shashi. He'd be talking through a few of the technical details about this program. Alright, before we get started, a few housekeeping details. We are recording this webinar, so you will receive a copy of it shortly after the webinar. In case you have any questions during the webinar, please use the questions panel on the GoToWebinar platform, and we'll try and pick those questions through the webinar. We will also have a formal Q&A session at the end, so you can ask your questions there as well. So let me get started then. Here's a short agenda for today's webinar. We'll start by talking a little bit about Citrix Ready program as well as Marketplace. I know most of you are already Citrix Ready partners, but I see a few people in the audience who are not, so please bear with me. I'll just take a few quick minutes to talk about the Citrix Ready program. We will then move on to talk about the several HDX levels that we have and how you could verify your devices on those levels. We will then talk about thin client verification process and the criteria to enroll into this program. We'll culminate it with a few of the core marketing opportunities that we have, and we'll have a Q&A session in the end. Moving forward, so talking a little bit about Citrix Ready framework. So we have technologies and solutions in various ecosystems, starting from desktop, mobility, networking, as well as cloud. At Citrix Ready, we are a technology partnership program where we verify and assure interoperability of third-party technologies with Citrix products. Now the whole framework and the whole aim of the program is really to create a win-win situation between you and us. How we do that is through this verification. What we offer our customers is really an added level of confidence when they make a purchasing decision on top of Citrix infrastructure. We really want to offer them a variety and the power of choice of these technologies, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, to ensure the interoperability with Citrix technologies. To our partners, we really provide a higher level of engagement. We create several joint marketing opportunities for you where we can go to the market together and present the solution as one, which is helpful for our customers as well as for our partners. To Citrix, this really provides a very strong compete value, where we showcase the products which integrate very well with our technologies, and these are specifically complementing technologies that adds on to our customers' experience. So that's a little bit about what the program is about. Let me hand over the mic to my colleague Shashi. He'll talk through some of the criteria and constituents of the program. So over to you, Shashi.
Devices which came lately, maybe in like 2011, 2012, and that's when the boom started for the SoC devices. So these are very specific to perform a particular functionality. Then we have the application-specific integrated circuits, which are like almost very specific for particular applications. And then there are zero clients. There are many Windows and Linux flavors of the thin clients along with the other OSs as well. So the majority of the thin clients that we see are from the Windows and Linux. And I believe, like, as most of you are the thin client vendors, you would know the architecture of it, how it works, and what is that it needs to make a thin client verify as a Citrix Ready product. So all of these thin clients, whenever they get verified as Citrix Ready, we list them, once it is approved as Citrix Ready verified product, we will list them on a catalog. And as Rubal was mentioning about Citrix Ready Marketplace, we have like many thin clients already listed there. So speaking about the thin clients, there are many features, or probably there could be a few limitations for some of the thin clients. And because of that, we may have to subcategorize these into different HDX levels. So we have categorized as HDX, Citrix Ready HDX Technology, HDX Premium, and HDX 3D Pro levels. So the initial level of the HDX verification would be the HDX Technology level, wherein these are like basically built for daily task workers who need just a basic access of their business productivity applications, maybe like Office suites or maybe the ERP related softwares. So the basic functionality of this device would be, when we're talking about the Citrix terms, we would be launching the virtual desktop through through this client, and then we'll be performing the tasks inside the virtual machine. So the load on this endpoint is very minimal. And that's how there are a few test cases as well designed to see what are the functionalities that we look in this device to be verified as HDX technology. Now the next level comes up the HDX premium devices, wherein these are a little bit better performing devices when compared to the HDX technology. So these are like these endpoints enhances the real-time and secure remote access kind of thing, kind of experience for the users. So in addition to these basic functionalities of this HDX technology devices, the premium devices, they use the HDX features which Citrix also provides, where they use the client rendering functionality, which calls them out, and then these perform also much better than the other devices. So we have categorized them as HDX premium devices. The third category is the HDX 3D Pro, and by the name itself, it shows that these are the powerful devices which are meant to be delivering a high, rich 3D graphic intensive applications, and the performance should also match the power. Right, so there are many 3D applications like CAD applications. You may have some manufacturing applications. So these applications are supposed to run seamlessly and very smooth on these devices. And I say on these devices, of course, it could be on the virtual machines as well. So based on these categories, we verify a product and then we list them on marketplace. Now, from the customer point of view, if you see, if someone wants to come into the Citrix Ready marketplace, we have categorized these devices as well. So they could come and then just select the HDX technology or HDX Premium or 3D Pro, and then they will see all the devices that have been listed there. And based on their interest, they'll go and purchase that particular device. So these HDX categories, it helps customers a lot in making their purchasing decision easier. Now, when we come to the thin client verification process, let me just step back. Yeah, so when we come to the thin client verification process, as I was mentioning, we have now, earlier we used to do the documentation part, we used to have the devices shipped to us, so there was a lot of process involved to it. Now we have built it an online procedure where you could submit your test cases, your test results, your product details, and it is easy for the review as well. And along with that, we have also built up the automation tools using which you could verify the thin client very easily. And I'm sure most of you may have already tried this because this has been introduced some time back. So this is just an example of the Citrix Ready verification platform. So this is the platform where we submit the product details, we select the test scenarios that we need to run. So when you look at the product type, the Citrix product type, we select XenApp or XenDesktop, and then we select the product type as thin clients. So this will populate the appropriate test cases that needs to be performed, and it will run through all the test scenarios one by one. So I'll just quickly jump onto the test results, which will show us the test cases that we run here. All right, so if you see, these are the test scenarios that have been defined for a product to be verified according to the categories. We will go in detail about these test cases. So as I was mentioning, we have come up with the automation tool which will help you to verify your product very easily, very conveniently, without having the hassle of moving here and there, getting the documents, getting the instructions. So we have put everything in this automation tool. This automation tool will check, when we initially launch it, it will first check the prerequisites required for the complete set of test scenarios to be executed. So it will check the performance of the virtual machine, it will check the receiver versions, it will check the softwares that are required for these test scenarios to run. So once the tool understands that, okay, if the endpoint or wherein you are launching the virtual machine, if it meets all the requirements specified for the tool to run, then you will be looking at this screen, which is showed on the screen now. So this is for the HDX Ready verification, and you could see we have like 1 to 6 test cases are mandatory, which are definitely to be executed and passed successfully for the device to be verified as HDX Ready, the HDX technology level. So the USB device redirection, you might be aware of it. Like, you just connect the USB device, it should be redirected to your virtual machine, and then the 2D graphics server rendered test scenario consists of few video files that would be played, and maybe like a PowerPoint presentation. The PDF files will be run during this test scenario to check whether the thin client is capable of taking that load or not. And accordingly, we will run the other test scenarios wherein we see the audio recording and playback support. The 4th and 5th test scenarios are the ones which are like server rendered Flash and server rendered Windows media redirection. So all the load is now pushed onto the server. Only the rendered video is played onto the client side. So that also is a good test to see whether your endpoint is capable of taking that minimal load as well. And the 6th one is the client printer test using the Citrix UPD. So you may have to also check the functionality of the device to support the printer, because that's the usual test case or usual practical scenario what we see in the outer world. So once anyone passes these 6 test scenarios, you will be qualified as HDX technology or HDX ready level. The other 2 ones are the optional ones, wherein you could have a setup of the cloud bridge, and then you can do this HDX optimization verification. And also, if you have this NetScaler Insight Center configured in your setup, you should run these 2 test scenarios as well. And we recommend you to use these 2 tools because these have been built specifically for monitoring and then having the optimization. And once these test scenarios are passed, and once maybe if your product is listed on the Citrix Ready marketplace, we create a table, and in that table we will mention whether this test has been passed or not. So it gives an extra confidence to the customer, saying that, okay, this particular device has passed these test scenarios as well. Great. So moving on to the next level of Citrix Ready, that's HDX Premium level, wherein you could see a little bit of complicated test scenarios, wherein you may have to, the device may have to support the multi-monitor functionality, wherein it could be like 2 monitors, 3 monitors, depending on the number of ports available. So this is a mandate test to be passed as well. And there are a couple of other test scenarios, and the very recent one that we have added is about the HTML5 video redirection, because there is a lot of discussions going around the Flash. So we are still supporting the Flash. We are not excluding that from our test scenarios as of now. But maybe if in future, if the decision comes up, then probably we may have to drop that, and we will keep only the HTML5 video redirection. But that is still under discussion. So in this HTML5 video redirection, which is supported from Zen Desktop 7.12 onwards, and if you're using the automation tool, we highly recommend you to run this test scenario thoroughly and then ensure that this test passes. The next one is, as I was mentioning about the Windows media redirection. This is now rendered on the client side. The entire load is taken from the client side, and once you run the media, you could see the difference from the server rendering and the client rendering. So the best of the best thin clients, they will not show you much difference. So that's what we are looking for. And the further test scenarios, the P2P video conferencing on Skype for Business. Now that we are talking more about Skype for Business, in our day-to-day life, we want to optimize this, customize this, and then we want to use the Citrix HDX RTOP, that real-time optimization pack, which gives you an extra feature of delivering this Skype for Business feature in a very smooth way. So we will talk about that as well. And later on, we also want the device to be supporting multiple smart card devices. In fact, for the verification purpose, we specify to verify only one or two varieties, but we would highly appreciate if you could support multiple smart card. And if you could see, these are all the mandatory test scenarios in the HDX premium devices, because we want, whenever we are verifying, we are approving a device as a HDX premium, we want everything to be supported from these devices. Now, moving on to the HDX 3D Pro verifications, this is majorly concentrating on the 3D aspects of the support, or probably 3D applications as well. So we have multiple 3D applications from different vendors, from the Google Earth to the 3D connection devices that we could be using. So we have defined these test scenarios wherein we look for a multi-monitor support, and on both multi-monitors or maybe 3 or 4 monitors, we are running different 3D applications, and then we check the performance of this. So the thin client, which is capable of supporting all these features, plus giving this 3D 3D support as well, that could be listed as the HDX 3D Pro devices. So now, with this said, we defined the test scenarios. We are able to verify the product. We get them listed on the marketplace as well. But how do we figure out what is the best out of these best thin clients? If somebody asks Citrix, like, okay, what is the best thin client you have tested? We still have, we might be having the data, but we don't reveal it to the outside world, saying that, okay, this is the best one, this is the best one. Now, and that is the reason, like even the partners come to us and say, okay, we want to promote our product. We want to say, like, this is the best out of the best. And this is the reason why we have created this program, to showcase what are the best devices that we have in the market and what is the performance of it. So we have come up with this program wherein we want to showcase the best thin clients in the market which are available and which have passed these verifications. So we have put up some criteria to enroll into this top thin client program. So the first and foremost would be the device should be verified as HDX technology, HDX Premium, and HDX 3D Pro. It should be qualified, or it should be verified with all these 3 levels. And as I mentioned, we have already set some criteria for these for the device to be verified into these levels. So most of the part is already covered there. Now, as we are running this campaign here, we want the devices to be verified with the latest XenApp and XenDesktop versions. So as of now, we have 7.14, which is the latest one. So we are expecting these devices to be verified with XenApp and XenDesktop 7.14. And of course, it should also have the latest Citrix receiver version support as well. Now, as I was mentioning about the HDX Premium test case regarding the Skype for Business test case, wherein we use the Citrix HDX real-time optimization pack. So there are scenarios wherein you may have to modify a little bit on your side as well, being a thin client vendor, to support the latest HDX real-time optimization pack. So this is also one of the criteria to get the device enrolled into this program. And as I was mentioning, we use like multiple displays, and the minimum one is what we're looking for is 720 by 480 support, and the resolution frames, it should be like minimum of 30 frames per second. And also you could, when we are doing the Skype for call, we see the video of it, and then that could be calculated the performance of the video. So we basically set the standard of having a minimum of 80,000 macro blacks per second. So once your device is meeting all these requirements, you are definitely there to enroll into this program. And once you enroll into this program, then there are other test scenarios that also need to be run at our end. So we request you to ship that particular device which you think will be qualified here. So you could ship the device to us, and we will rerun the tests again. We will generate the reports which will be used when we are creating the white papers, or when we are creating any document which will be referred from our sales department as well. We may need those devices, and then we will start working on that. So with that said, I'll hand it over to Rubel again, who will just brief you about the process, how to join the program, and what are the marketing benefits we have. Rubel, over to you. Rubel, I think you may be on mute.
Precisely, I was on mute. Sorry about that. Thanks, Shashi.
No,
So yeah, moving on, signing up for the program is pretty simple. So 3 steps. There's a landing page. We'll share a URL with you. You simply need to fill a short form there, very basic details. After you've enrolled yourself, you need to verify your product, as Shashi was mentioning earlier, with all the 3 levels of HDX verifications that we have. And then we have a few joint promotions that we're going to run, of course, with the selected partners. So let me talk through these quickly. Next slide, please. So these are the 4 campaigns that we've come up with. The first one would be a joint white paper that we'd be creating with successful participants of this program. So we'll take care of everything from creatives to the drafting to copywriting. Once the white paper is done, of course, while the white paper is in creation, we would involve technical contact from your side as well as a technical contact from Citrix side to make sure that the messaging and positioning is as both the partners want. So once a white paper is created, we will create an exclusive landing page to host these white papers and run promotions around that. We will also host a podcast. So we have a partnership with a website called DABCC. It's a fairly popular website in the virtualization industry. So if you've not already heard of it, I'll encourage you to go check it out at dabcc.com. A very conversational style of podcast that Douglas Brown, the founder, hosts. So we will host a podcast with them. This is more about awareness about your product on a thought leadership level. We will also offer a lead generation campaign, which will include a webinar, which we will host and of course promote. Again, just as the white paper, we will take care of all the creative work as well as promotions and generate some qualified leads for you guys. And you could take on those leads from there on and nurture them and pitch your product. The 4th thing that we are offering is a sales reference card. We receive a lot of requests from the sales teams at Citrix for recommendations of our partner technologies. So this is a very handy tool for our sales teams. So we would like to create these cards for each of the selected participants to make sure if sales guys are pitching products to any customers, they have something to talk about in case a customer has asked about a thin client. So these are some of the campaigns that we would be running right after the program. Coming to how you sign up, there's a URL that will display on the screen. Shashi, if you could take us to the next slide, thank you. So please just log on to bit.ly/top10clients. There's a small landing page there with some details around the program that we just talked about and a fairly simple form right at the bottom. So just fill in the form there and we'll have your details and we'll contact you to take things from there on. The deadline for you to sign up is 31st August. So after this is when we start running the promotional campaigns, starting from white papers to podcasts to webinars. We'll schedule them one after the other. So I guess that's about it from our side. I think now's the time where if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in and we'll take them there.
Okay, so we have few questions flowing in. Okay, so the first one
Go ahead,
is
Shashi.
yeah. So the first one is what is the time frame for a device to be verified as HDX Ready or HDX Premium? So as I mentioned earlier, like if it is just for a verification, then if you're using the automation tool, it is fairly quick now because you don't have to ship the device. You just run through the automation tool, generate the report, submit the report in the verification platform. We will review it, and then as per the results, we will approve it. For the thin client verification program, so for the top thin client program, what we are recommending is to ship this device to us so that we also could run it once again. And then if there is anything additional to be done, for example, if the NetScaler Insight Center setup is not available at your end, if we want to have a look at it, how it performs, we will run that test and then we will list it out under the top 10 client program. So if, as coming back to the first question, like if it is only the verification part you are looking for, then it is fairly simple. You have to just run through the tool and submit the results to us. Thanks. The next one is it mandate to run all the test scenarios to be qualified as HDX Premium? Yeah, so as we have mentioned, these are the mandate test scenarios that needs to be passed, because we have seen few devices which perform very well when it comes to the client rendering part as well, but they may not have dual monitor support, or probably they may not have the smart card support. So in those scenarios, we may not be able to approve them as HDX Premium. So the test scenarios that have been defined in HDX Premium, those are mandate to be passed.
There's one more question I'm seeing, Shashi. The question is, we are already using the verification system. Do I have to register again?
No, you have to just enroll into this program, the top thin clients program. You have to just sign up here, and the verification criteria that have been set, you could, or the verification process that you have been following using the verification platform and the automation tool, you could still continue that.
Okay, thanks. Another one says, for flash redirection, uh, which one is supported by Citrix? Is it YouTube?
So yeah, earlier it was YouTube, but lately we have seen that YouTube is also not supporting the Flash content. So we have mentioned a different URL in the test scenarios. If it is not reflected there, probably you could reach out to me. I'll give you the appropriate link, but we will be soon moving on to the other platforms, but may not be the YouTube.
Okay, thank you. Another one, I see Citrix raised the requirements for premium verification. The question is, the device was qualified with premium before, but not qualified with the new requirements. When they do re-verify, what will the status have?
Right. So if at all your device is being verified as HDX Premium with ZenDesktop, ZenApp and ZenDesktop 7.14, so you will still hold the same status of having the device verified as HDX Premium, and the compatibility will also show as 7.13 and 7.14. But with the newer ZenApps and desktop versions, if you are not verifying your device as HDX Premium, then we may have to either exclude the HDX Premium, or what we will do is we will mention somewhere in the text saying that this is only verified as HDX Premium with the older versions, but not with the current version.
Great, thanks. I think the next question is for me. When would we expect to see the top thin client program rollout related to market promotions? So 31st August is the last date to enroll for the program. So first week of September is when we'll begin the promotions. So first couple of weeks, of course, would be required to kind of do the preparations, initiating the white papers, and scheduling the webinars and podcast. So you can expect the actual promotions to be rolled out in second week of September.
Okay, great.
Follow-up question from the premium verification question. So would we have two separate postings then?
No, there will be only one posting per product. But as I mentioned, we will be listing out the HDX premium levels in the content of the product page itself, mentioning that it has been verified as HDX premium with maybe a particular version of XenApp and XenDesktop. And if it is not HDX premium with the other versions, we will also specify that this device is not HDX premium with this particular version of XenApp and XenDesktop. Because we want to keep it transparent to the customers, because they are the ones who will be looking at the compatibility and saying that, okay, this is the version that I or my customer would be using, and we want to ensure that this version works fine with this particular thin client. Yeah. Do we have any more questions?
No, I'm not seeing any more questions.
Okay. Great. So I would like to thank everyone again for taking your time out and joining us for the webinar. And thanks, Rubel, for organizing this as well. And if at all, as Rubel was mentioning, if you have any questions in future or anything related to the program or verification, feel free to reach out to us at citrixready@citrix.com. Thank you.
Thanks. Just a final note, we will be sending out a recording of this webinar. So there's a question if the slides would be shared. So yes, the recordings would be shared with all the content. So give us a day or two on that and you'll receive an email. Thanks again. Thanks, Shashi. And I'd like to thank all of you who have joined the webinar. Thanks for making the time and hope to talk to you soon.
Thanks, Rubel.
Thank you.